action here. And it looks like it's going to be the knife round. Obviously, everyone wants that coveted CT side. Actually, Mirage right now is sort of teetering towards the upper edge of CT-sided maps. In the rotation right now, it's in order, I believe. It's Nuke, Train, barely different. They're actually very close to each other. It's Nuke, Train, and then I think Mirage and Mirage and Overpass are very close as far as which map is the most CT-sided. And then the most currently even map is actually Inferno. It's 50-50. It's about as 50-50 as you can get. But we saw the knife round play out, and the pistol round is about to begin. It's going to be Greyhound Gaming starting out on the CT side. Space Soldiers and Lord God Xantares starting on the T side.
And I think it's going to be another interesting aspect with Space Soldiers bringing Major in Despi's position, but also putting him into the in-game leadership role. That's a tough spot to be in. Coming straight into a team and taking the responsibility of being an in-game leader is pretty massive because you have to rely on those other 4 guys to trust you as well. So when we go now into the first pistol round, Greyhound Gaming on the CT side of things with Space Soldiers pushing up towards the B site right now. They're not completely committed, but they are making their way into the apartments now. Some grenade and some 45 rounds being exchanged with Gratisfaction getting the first kill on that player, Xantares, and another kill coming in for Pracum.
This is actually Pracum's first land as well with this team. It'll be interesting to see what he's capable of. Calyx is down to just 2 HP. Major on 55, but he's really far away from the play. At this point, the round's over. Unless Major goes absolutely ham. He's all the way across the map when that play begins. So his job now is just hunting down kills, trying to make something happen. I mean, a minute and 10 seconds left. He can get really creative with his play. And the Glock has obviously been buffed, but the key now with the way that the game plays out in regards to USP versus Glock duels is keeping that distance, making sure that the USP can keep the Glocks at bay. If the Glocks get in close, they absolutely shred. But it's a great pistol round from Greyhound. 4 players surviving, a very solid performance from them in the pistol. And it was a really strong shutdown from the player, like we said, who has limited land experience with this team, Pracum, who's shutting down that B push.
Yeah, so Space Soldiers came in, they went up to the B site, and they almost did a little bit of a pump fake right there, but their hesitation is what cost them coming into that B site. They lost a player right out of the gates, early grenade damage went in there as well, and that just means Greyhound Gaming needs to clean up. So Space Soldiers, though, however, they do buy up. They get themselves some CZs, a Deagle included in there as well with Xantares, and then you've got some armor mixed in, but there is still, of course, more of a response for Greyhound Gaming. They've got the umps. They got a single M4 in there as well for Burn as they push up into the A site now, straight up and over. They now round the corner underneath the stairs, completely sectioned off by right now. Greyhound Gaming are allowing them into the site, but you still have to be brave enough to get the bomb plant down. It's just a retake strategy now for Greyhound.
I like this play from Space Soldiers, getting the bomb down. It is a force buy here, so they put armor to back up the pistols. And with the umps at this range, it's good for them. But even still, the ump isn't what it used to be. And you're seeing right now Pracum kind of getting into this long-range duel with the ump. It's not the same gun it once was, so it's a little bit scary seeing teams still going to that gun. We've got Pracum dropping the smoke down. He's just going to stick it. He mollies off, too. So this is actually a bold play, and they can't find him inside the smoke. He's going to get the defuse. It's a huge play. Again, Pracum goes pretty big. He mollies off Palace, prevents that player from really being able to do anything. All he can do is run out, in which case I believe his other teammate took a duel from stairs. He dies to the player, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. Ultimately, he sticks the bomb, gets the victory. But because of the bomb plant, Space Soldiers is going to buy up. They're going to keep the force on.
Keep that pressure up, but that was all Gratisfaction right there, giving the covering fire for the diffuser in the smoke to make sure that he can get his job done. But because they were already a man down on the retake as they came in, they really got ground up by those CZs, and Space Soldiers know that since there were so many casualties for Greyhound, they're going to keep that pressure up. They're a team that knows that they're better aimers, know that they have better executions, and can rely on one another, that they can continue to keep AKs in play. I don't know if they'll continue if they don't get another bomb plant. Greyhound Gaming might get a breath of fresh air, but the pressure still continues near A as the smokes begin to set up.
If they keep getting kills like this, if they keep bringing it down to low numbers, I would expect to see them continuing this force buy, even if they're losing the rounds. Burn is doing great damage right now with the USP. Whips out and gets a second kill, or a third kill for that matter, on the round. It's another strong round from Greyhound. I mean, they are really surprising a lot of people with their performance. No one ever knows what to expect from the Australian and Brazilian teams. It's always like, what are we going to get this time? The Australians and Brazilians have always gotten really close to making it into playoff stages. They've never really gone that far beyond that. We remember the first Global Challenger was Chiefs. The second one we had Tainted Minds. Last time we had Dark-Sided, and all of them did so well, but they couldn't quite make it to where they wanted. Maybe we'll finally have a team, and I've been told by some of the Australian people that Greyhound Gaming is a pretty strict and dedicated team. They've got good experience, solid aim, obviously, but they actually, they're not like a pug team. They play really strong tactical CS compared to some other teams that we've seen in the past. And it's showing right now with a 3-0 start. It's another eco round coming in from Space Soldiers. Paz is the only one to buy armor. He's got himself a deagle. The P250 underneath window has been spotted. Gratisfaction's trying to stay alive, but closing distance right now for Greyhound coming in from Catwalk. It's Moe CQ, and now it's down to just Paz.
Oh, Paz gets a 1 dig to start things out, but really all you can do at this point is economic damage. Set yourself up for success later on. This being a CT-sided map, it's not uncommon to start off 4-0, but it's a slippery slope at that point. It's gonna continually add pressure for every round that you drop. We're gonna finally see some rifles come back into the Space Soldiers' hands to see if they can get the momentum back and curried into their own favor. But right now, Greyhound Gaming, they've made enough money. They've stolen some AKs. They've got an AWP into Gratisfaction's hands, and this is gonna be an important round because it sets the pace as well. How well can you do with an AWP? He plays aggressive right up into the scaffolding, and now he's peeking on the edge of this smoke right now to continue to control top mid.
The first shot's off the mark. I've actually been told to keep an eye on this player. His AWP is apparently pretty solid, but that first shot not where it needed to be. Doesn't matter, he's got backup from Moe CQ, who's in connector. Down goes the AWP of Gratisfaction, though Xantar's picking one up as well. That's Urcast being dropped. He also has played at some previous events here with Tainted Minds. Paz now moving in, but it's still a 2-on-3 in favor of the CT side. A strong duel by Moe CQ, who's found himself 3 kills on the round. Reminder, this is the player who is no longer actually active on the team. He's been replaced by Dexter, but he's showing up big right now. He might be giving himself a bit of a boost for teams looking for a new player. It's down to Xantaris, and with only 15 HP, he might be a god, but this one seems almost impossible. Full utility almost as well for Moe and for Prackham. 2 flashes, double molly, and look at this position right now. Xantaris isn't going to see this one coming. Blindsided.
Well. Oh, there it is. Extra cash. So he hangs out on top of the dumpster right there at top mid and just waits him out. I was wondering why the shots weren't ringing out sooner than that. I was like, oh, there, he's getting closer on the mini-map. So yeah, we see a replay coming in. Moe just opens things up. So they lost Gratisfaction. He wanted to have that presence in mid by getting up on top of the scaffolding with the AWP, but with Moe coming in with the rifle, also solidifies that. So I expect more of that for Greyhound Gaming. They really want to just dominate mid and put it into Space Soldiers' minds that you are not welcome here. If you're going to send somebody for top mid, you're going to have to also come in through underpass. You really need more presence than just one-dimensional attacks.
Now, I would say that most people coming into this one expected Space Soldiers to win this easily, but Greyhound Gaming is proving everyone wrong. It's a 5-0 right now, and it's another eco coming in from Space Soldiers. Due to the buying pattern, they're not able to use full loss bonus. They just go for the force buy. Pistol armor is at least working a little bit. They find a kill trying to get into B, but Calyx is now alone, and this is a familiar tale. 1 player left, low HP, a lot of bodies still standing for Greyhound Gaming. It just doesn't seem to be working out at all. Only 1 kill. I mean, if we even like just look at the kill totals right now, we're not seeing much activity from Space Soldiers. It's really Greyhound that's basically commanding in a lot of these duels. Yeah, we saw a couple of kills come in from them in some previous rounds, but it's been mostly Greyhound Gaming coming out on top of the exchanges. Major hasn't even cracked it, neither has Engine. Neither one has a kill yet. 0 and 6 for both of them. Yeah, and it's interesting because a lot of these upper echelon teams in this division, you can see them fumble a little bit here and there, but these executions just don't look like they're even relatively close to being executed correctly. That also says to Greyhound Gaming's experience and what they're able to put up on their defense, their communication, and able to lean on one another. They're shutting down Space Soldiers so far on every front. B site, mid, A site, everything's been shut out. Space Soldiers don't even have all that much information as to what the default looks like for Greyhound Gaming. Now, based on what we did like coming into this event, I didn't think that Mirage was a bad map for Greyhound, but I would have expected Space Soldiers to veto it just because it's not a terrible map for them either, but it's definitely not one of their better maps. And you're kind of wondering if they did some work coming into this event and felt more comfortable there or what the story is. But right now it's a 6-0 for Greyhound, so you're definitely wondering maybe it would have made more sense to let Overpass go through if you're Space Soldiers. But there's still plenty of time to bring this one back, but they got to start doing something now before it starts spiraling out of control. And again, Prackham, this player who's got limited LAN experience coming in and shutting down 2 players on Catwalk, one of whom being Xantaris, who's been mostly silent this game. It's Major and Calyx, familiar territory. It's a 2-on-5 at this point. They haven't even gotten a kill. Only 40 damage total dealt to 1 player. That's it. So this is what I was talking about, that execution on Catwalk. I would expect more from the Space Soldiers because if you're gonna get fragged on Catwalk, you need somebody right there
I'm assuming you have the smoke set up on connector as well as window so that you don't get instantly murdered from multiple directions. But they need to be right on top of one of the come around catwalk and at least get the refrag. And it puts them on a huge deficit now. 2 on 5 right now. And you see Burn getting a little bit of extra info. He spots one player, that being Calyx. Didn't see the adjacent player being Major up above him, but it does kind of show their hand a little bit with no time left on the clock. It's a save. And you get an 0-6 start.
I mean, that's now what? One of several rounds where we've seen them suffer almost no casualties. The most successful round so far for Space Soldiers was where it was the second round. It was the Force Buy, where they planted the bomb on A, and it was a 1v1 in the end as Prackham was sticking the bomb inside the smoke. Outside of that, we haven't really seen anything. We've seen 4 up, 3 up, 4 up, 3 up, 4 up, 4 up. Like, they just constantly are surviving with so many bodies up. The money right now for Greyhound must be through the roof. And Space Soldiers, I think, at this point is starting to sweat a little bit because there's so much for them to fall back on. It's a 7-0, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is a tack pause coming in from Space Soldiers. They got to figure this out.
Yeah, I think right now it's back to their basics. Just straight mechanical Counter-Strike. Get your flashes, your pop flashes in on any executions. Their smoke executions on A were there. That allowed them to get that one bomb plant, but it was, of course, responded by a diffuse in the smoke, so a little bit of taste of their own medicine. They just need to, I think if Space Soldiers can get that one rifle round under their belt, they, of course, would need a one follow behind that to crack the economy that has been built up after 7 rounds. And, of course, Gratisfaction's had the op for a couple rounds now, so he's starting to build up enough cash that he can afford his own.
I mean, one of the most impressive things to me is that the Australian region is growing rapidly. You know, you compare it even to just Brazil, where we've seen 3 pro teams come over to NA to compete, and now other teams. Australia is growing big time. We now have 2 leagues, Open and MDL, and we have teams getting sponsors and salaries, stuff that was never happening when we first started the Global Challenge. The first team to ever attend a Global Challenge was Chiefs. They were not even getting paid salary because back then no one was. Even Vox Eminer, a team that made it to the Major, was not getting this. So you're now seeing what this money is doing for Australia and the expansion and growth there, and it's obvious right now that Greyhound Gaming has come to play. They're up 7-0 over Space Soldiers, and again, it's an early duel, but Space Soldiers maybe have finally found their solid footing on this A bomb site. They've got a 4-on-3. It's Moe, CQ, Prackham, and Gratisfaction left. And Moe, CQ, and Prackham have gone big in the past, but Moe, CQ comes up empty-handed from a position that looked solid. They didn't know he was there. And at this point, it's a 4-on-2. We might finally see Space Soldiers get their first round.
And a great timeout even. Okay, so there's Gratisfaction going to get routed out of CT, and Prackham's the last man standing with 4 alive. Again, not a round that Greyhound's going to be able to pull out of their hat, I don't think, on this one, but every kill here against Space Soldiers is doubly as effective, considering their economy wouldn't be able to rebound off of what could be an eco reset, but keeping 4 players alive would very much soften that blow.
I mean, the reality is they could still recover. As much as we've been praising Greyhound could fall apart. They could crumble. Space Soldiers could find something that they could push forward with, and they get 8-7 this half. And all of a sudden, everything that we've said thus far is negated by this strong play from Space Soldiers. Is it expected? Not necessarily, because Greyhound has been so strong. But obviously, Space Soldiers came into this game a little bit cold, and they've been kind of shook by Greyhound Gaming, and now they're starting to wake up a little bit. But it's just 1 round, and if they lose this, that's a terrible spot to be in, because they would have lost that loss bonus that they've accumulated that's been fielding the buy, that's been helping fund the rounds from Space Soldiers that haven't been successful. There's Gratisfaction from behind Triple Box, gets the first kill with the off, good counter flashes, misses another one. He's got to get his teammate out of position. His teammate back behind Firebox stays alive to get 2. It's Urkaz coming up huge, and just like that, it's now 2 players left alive, and look at the 9-man even, pushing all the way through Bia Halls. He's got all the intel. They know these guys are trapped on ramp.
That's a matter of time. The noose is tightening. Engine is going to be the tip of the spear, because Major only has 9 HP to try and stay alive, but the longer they wait, the tighter it gets. It does look like the number 9 man's finally coming in through T-spawn, and there's no choice left. Space Soldiers have to push forward, but they come back right into the welcoming arms of Prackham, who's taken a lot of damage, pulls out a nade, and dies. So at least they fought their way out of this wet paper bag. They can at least expand now back towards B, put a question mark into Greyhound Gaming's mind as, oh, well, now we lost all that map control. They reset. A little bit of space created for the side of Space Soldiers.
They're trying to get the bomb down right now. This engine's just going to stay here on A and try and create a diversion so Major can get a plant. So at the very least, they have a post-plant scenario, and he can try and fight for it. The problem is Major's pretty low. Unless he goes through underpass, which it looks like he is. It's a little bit of a bizarre decision. I thought they were going to send that bomb towards B, use engine as a decoy, just hope they can get the bomb down and get some bonus money, because instead they split apart completely, and they just get caught off guard by the guy sitting underpass waiting for him. The last man is now isolated in the A bomb site. He's trapped. There's nothing he can do. There's not even enough time to go get the bomb and run it back. So this is really the big play. This is Urcast by Firebox. Sprays away on Paz, whips back and kills Xantares. You would have thought Xantares was going to get the kill there. He was very low on HP, but huge work done by Urcast. And Greyhound Gaming really shocking a lot of people, upsetting Space Soldiers there and upsetting the economic flow. It'll be a Space Soldiers eco or a force buy, and it'll probably be followed by an eco after.
Right, so that last round, we've seen Gratisfaction playing in mid. That time he shifted over towards the to the A site. So he got there. He was missing some shots here and there, but there was Aircast that picked up that slack and was able to really solidify and build the brick wall that has been this Greyhound defense and continue its efforts. So now it's again an eco round for Space Soldiers. They buy up slightly. You got some deagles. Now you got a full deagles because Major's down. But really, that eco reset was softened somewhat because there was 4 survivors on the one rifle round that they did win. So body's starting to stack up out of the apartment side of things. It's again a 5-for-1 exchange. Sorry. But the player that does die, Prackham in this case, got 2 kills. And prior to that, I believe he got 3 kills when he died before as well, defending on that B site.
One of the coolest things about seeing the Australian teams play on LAN too is that in Australia, there's a lot of problems with ISPs. Like, I've talked to the Australian players about this before. There are a couple players who have to play on a 4G dongle because their internet service is so bad that the 4G dongle is actually better. So when they get to play on LAN, you get to see like this potential that we don't see with some of their online matches because it's tainted by poor routing or server locations or whatever the case may be. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily the case for Greyhound Gaming, but I know it's been the case for some players in the past. So it's cool to see them coming out, and they're swinging pretty big right now. They're going for the fences. They're up 9-1 over Space Soldiers. I mean, this is on pace for a 13-2 or a 12-3 half, which is really strong on a map like Mirage. And, you know, the map used to be a little bit more CT-sided, but that top mid smoke kind of changed the meta of the map, making mid control very difficult. But the CT side doesn't seem to be struggling as of yet. Burn does get a kill quickly from Catwalk, traded out by Xantares, who really needs to wake up. He needs to start delivering big time if he wants to carry his team out of this one. They're in quite a mess. Down 8 rounds. And after this one, they won't really have much money left. Urcast gets into a spray duel with Engine, but now he's trapped in Sandwich. There's not a whole lot he can do out of that one. He needs Gratisfaction to bail him out with this op. But he can be easily isolated with a smoke. Jump peaks you can see coming out as well from ramp, trying to spot him, trying to see if they can bait out the shot. He's patient right now. Look at the 2-man creeping in.
So, nice move. So they bait the attention for Gratisfaction over by A main, and Xantares is able to just walk up right into their faces, pick up 2 freebies. Now it's up to Prackham coming off of the B site, now through jungle, picking up Calyx and upgrading to the AK. From a 1v4 to a 1v2, this is more than possible. The bomb begins to tick down. Fresh new magazine in. He's searching for the players, but they're both over towards CT side. They'll shoot him in the back, take the cowardly way out, and Space Soldiers find 2.
A little bit of a costly round, though. They lose players in the end, you know, that does hurt them. Because one of the biggest problems for Space Soldiers has been money. Greyhound has controlled the money. By giving Space Soldiers essentially 1 round amidst a sea of rounds for Greyhound, their money got reset, and now they're in a position again where they're spending basically every penny they have to fill the buy, and the utility is a little bit low on some of the players. Like Calyx is down to just a flash right off the bat. He threw the 1 smoke he had, now he's throwing his flash. That's it. He's got no utility left. Gratisfaction on Catwalk with the op. Questionable wide peek. He tried to peek back out, and unfortunately Xantares was just waiting for him, so unfortunately he gets caught off guard, but there's Moe CQ doing what he's already done before, going big from connector to shut down Calyx and give his team the man advantage yet again.
All right, so the AWP is out, and it's a 2-on-4 split the other direction, but Engine from underneath hits Burn from down below, and it's going to be a 3-on-3 now. And mid control finally given over to Space Soldiers. Greyhound Gaming, like I said before, have really been flooding players early on in these rounds to just dominate mid. And they've had success from that. Right now it is showing some faltering because a 3-on-3 is going to be advantageous to your T side 9 times out of 10 unless you have some kind of gamble for the CT defense, which is not going to happen at this level of gameplay. Greyhound Gaming go for a 1-1-1 defense. It's going to put a lot of pressure on the Prackham right now.
We'll see if they try to flash into this territory. Xantares is just going to peek in. Prackham actually dinks the second. A little bit frustrating, I'm sure, but this guy might get spotted on the cross. He does get over. He's got bomb smoke going down. Did he see the man diving in? He didn't. So Moe CQ drops the bomb in sight, and Major now has to try and clutch this one out, moving in through B apartments. He's got some time so he can walk his way in, try and surprise them with position. But it all comes down to trading right now for Greyhound. All they have to do is try and trade this kill out, and they'll be set for the round. It would be their 10th. Double digits already gifted over. Just 2 rounds for Space Soldiers at this point. But there's Major getting a nice headshot onto Moe CQ, and it's Urcast now in the 1v1.
Just play the timer, Cast. You got it's 1v1, but the time's going for the CT side.
Oh, he's gonna
fake the first, and he comes out wide. Major wins that round, a crucial round at that. So it's 3-9 now, and we see this entry right now, and that's Prackham that posts up. And if he had an AK there, he would have picked up both of them and it turned it on 3-on-1 instead of what ended up being a 1-on-1. But Major clutches the 1-on-2 to save the day. So that's the first time I believe they've had success at the B site, and it's faint, but it's there. Space Soldiers can still recover. We've talked about Greyhound Gaming and how, man, it's been so great for them so far. But if Space Soldiers can get 5, I think it's more than enough.
And right now, Greyhound's money is kind of exhausted at this point. So they're running low on cash. They lost their player over there on balcony. Moe CQ is going to die as well. Major's got a nice little 3K here. This could be what they need to just build up some confidence, just kind of, you know, get the totals a little bit higher, because the kill count has definitely been low. Major's down on just 4 HP, but with 2 players remaining, it doesn't seem likely that much is going to happen. Burn does have himself a deagle, but he's been spotted, and Aim Punch takes over. Just 1 shot coming out from him. If this is a 9-6, it's not that terrible. No. But it was a dominant 9-6 for the most part. It was Greyhound Gaming really commanding control of the game.
Yeah, I think, like I said, if it's 9-6, I think that's plenty for Space Soldiers. I think 5 rounds is even enough for them. Greyhounds making their last real stand here. Their economy has finally faltered, cracked, and leaked out dry to this point. Gratisfaction has what is likely the last op if they do lose this round. Goes straight up as they started off this series in the first half, right into mid, right into the scaffolding. But it's a fast play into the A site. Aircast now defending back behind CT Ticket Booth, firing up a couple shots, does damage, but it's not nearly enough. They've been completely sectioned off of the site. The smokes are just choking everything out, and it'll be a 4-man retake for Greyhound Gaming as the second phase of this round commences.
Burn now moving in from CT. He's got the M4. He spots one on Palace. It's this guy in jungle or window that you're really worried about. And the round is crumbling here. Prackham just gets 1 kill. At this point, he'd love to try and survive, but that ain't going to happen. They're not going to let him away. They're pinching in now. As the pincer closes in, he's just going to try and hide in the smoke. This is really his best play at this point, because getting away from this one's going to be almost impossible. They're going to realize pretty soon that he's inside the smoke. Yeah, they've connected the dots. And like, he's got to be inside the smoke, and he is. So it looks like it very well could be a 9-6. Now, one of the things we didn't really see from Space Soldiers much in this first half was the AWP presence. We only saw it, I think, 1 time. And it was a round where they got it off of Gratisfaction. Engine had the AWP in mid. They lost it. It was the round where it came down to the 1v1 between Urcast and Major. I wonder if that's part of the problem. If they would love to have that AWP presence, I'm sure they would. They just haven't been able to afford it. You can see the buy coming in from Greyhound, though. It's not fantastic at all. Umps and a FAMAS, maybe a couple months ago this would have been a great buy, but these days, not so much.
No, not nearly good at range, and there are some opportunities for quite distance battles on this map of Mirage. But up close and personal, Calix weaves left and right, misses the shot. So 1-for-1 exchange, Gratisfaction's down, and you now got Aircast capitalizing on the fact that there was a wounded player there being Paz, a 1-man advantage, but still weapons to the favor of Space Soldiers. Just backing out now as Antares may have been spotted as he just got across that smoke as it began to fade.
Centaurus is just going to heave out a molly in mid-window. Seeing if anybody's hiding in the corner. They're not sure where these guys are at this point. Centaurus still moving in slow. Urcast is in the corner. Ice sees the elbow. Yeah, there you go. Good kill coming in from Xantares. Makes control of connector a whole lot easier, but Moe CQ is still in window. He sees them as they make it into connector. That was kind of his opportunity. 2 players moving in from that area, 1 coming in from ramp. They've got 1 pushed up. Burn is actually in Palace, which really what he needs to do is wait and let his teammate die. He needs to sit in this position and not act until they try to plant the bomb, and then he needs to pop out, because the clock is getting down low enough that that could actually win the round. Nice. So Moe CQ coming out, getting the first kill, does damage on the second. Burn decides to peek, and it'll come down to a 1-on-2. It's Major moving in from ramp against a FAMAS, actually now an AK and a UMP. Prackham in connector, Burn still in Palace. That's the problem right there. The player in Palace is the one he's concerned about, so he's trying to take a duel with Prackham. Nice shot onto Prackham, actually. And with 12 seconds left, he goes for the singular bait that he can do, and now he's got to really stick it. So he goes on the other side, a default box, lowers his head and puts the bomb down. Burn doesn't go out on it. After what they saw in the previous round, they don't want to trust him. There's the flashbang in. Burn's going to win it out. 13 HP. It's going to be a 10-5. A surprising first half for Greyhound Gaming.
Great recovery right there, though, for Greyhound. It ends up par for the course. 10-5, I'd say that's as straight average as you could get for Mirage. However, this is two completely different caliber teams, and I think it begs to speak to the point of, is it nerves? Is it rust? They just need to work it off? Space Soldier's not quite as hot out of the gates as I anticipated, but I think it just speaks more volumes to the capability that Greyhound's able to pull off. I do appreciate the fact that Major nearly pulls off 2 1v1 clutches in that, or sorry, 1v2 clutches in that half, that last one coming in that last round. So he was very, very close.
You know, I'm having flashbacks right now to Season 22, the first Global Challenge. It was Chiefs playing against Echo Fox. It was on Nuke. And Chiefs came out and destroyed them in the first half. I think in that game, like, Alistair dropped like 36 kills or something like that. It was a really good performance from Chiefs. They lost the game 16-14. After a really dominant first half, ultimately Echo Fox was able to come back. It was still a bit of an embarrassing match for Echo Fox, given the caliber of team they were. Well, a lot of people will probably find that a meme. But that's been kind of the theme for the Aussie teams coming into the Global Challenge. They always seem to surprise us in their first match, but sometimes they just struggle to push past that finish line. So I'm looking at this scoreline right now. I'm confident that Greyhound Gaming can do this, but I'm concerned based on what I've seen in the past. And especially when you have an experienced team like Space Soldiers. This isn't their first time here. It's not their first time playing on LAN. They have plenty of experience across the roster, so they could easily bring this one back.
Okay. See if Greyhound can get the same start as they did in the last half, where they started out with the pistol, and then I think it ended up being, what, 8 rounds in a row, if not 7, before finally Space Soldiers were able to get a response onto the board. Greyhound Gaming stacking up in the apartments right now. Very passive from Major, just looking for the information, might pop off a couple shots, fall back, and play retake B. Not a bad situation for either team right now, but one body has been stacked up, but the bomb plant secured for Greyhound Gaming. They at least have AKs going into the 3rd round, looking forward, but a 1-for-1 exchange continues forward. Space Soldiers, do they have the kit? It is. It's on Engine. He's going to be playing support, but he's taking a lot of damage. He's down. They have to remember where that kit fell. I think it came across the arch side of things, but Burn now in the smoke gets a kill, and Major's body is to the wayside. Everybody benched at this point as Paz falls in the end, and Greyhound Gaming pick up another pistol round.
I mean, you can really get an appreciation for the changes to the Glock in rounds like that. And that retake is so much harder. Once you get close, the Glocks can really punish you. Greyhound Gaming, they're in a great position right now. They're up 11-5 over a team that many would kind of peg as the favorite to win.
Yeah.
Like, if I was looking at this event coming in, I'd say my 2 favorite teams would probably be Flipside and Space Soldiers. Based on the experience level of the teams and the talent in general, just they should be able to clean up. But not the case. Space Soldiers, just like many teams, is being surprised by the Australian counterpart in their early match. Xantares gets 1 kill with the deagle, make it a 2nd for Xantares as he's trying to do his best job of stopping this B push. Moe CQ is going to smoke off Catwalk. It will be another B site control play for Greyhound Gaming. The bomb should be planted if they go back and grab it. Meanwhile, we've got a flank play coming in from top mid. It's actually Prackham trying to pincer this guy on Catwalk. He takes a ton of damage. They still haven't recovered that bomb, which is the big problem. Urcast hiding in the corner should be able to kill Calyx, but he spots him first. And all of a sudden, Space Soldiers is looking solid. 16 HP for Moe. Prackham on 12. This is not looking good. And in fact, it is going to come down to only 1. Losing that bomb in apartments was probably the worst thing that happened. If all these kills piled up while the bomb was planting and ticking away, not a big deal.
Right.
Because ultimately they get in the site, no kit, not enough time. But instead, they clean up all these kills. There's no bomb recovery. There's not even a plant, which means not that extra $800 coming in for
There's
them
the bomb dropping right there, I believe. So Xantares opened things up with a deagle work. But the entry right there from Greyhound Gaming was not. It was just flash thunder. Flashbang straight in. Nobody could see anything on that B site. So now Greyhound Gaming are going to have to back up and punt. The tables have turned. You see M4s and umps being carried over from Space Soldiers. Really the Greyhound's purchases of doing so. So now pistols and some armor upgraded. Prackham's the only player with head armor now for Greyhound Gaming's side, as mid-control more passive for the Space Soldiers comparative to the last half of Greyhounds.
Urcast just sitting under window right now with the CZ75. That other kill came over on A. Calyx picked off Prackham as he tried to move up ramp. Ooh, Urcast. I don't think he was seen by Calyx. Maybe he was. Yeah, Calyx saw him. I thought for a second he snuck in there. He does dink him. The pistol's not really as successful here for Greyhound Gaming as they were for Space Soldiers in the previous round. They were doing good damage, but not picking up kills. Moe is looking for Engine. He knows he's low, but he can't quite find him. He's on the other side of that wall. Tries to fake reload. He's trying to bait him out. I love it.
One shot, one dream. Oh.
It was a good try. They're still up. You know, they have a decent lead right now, but the fear in their heart is that Space Soldiers can really bring this one back. I mean, they're on the CT side now, and they're starting to look a little bit more comfortable.
Right. So let's see. Greyhound Gaming, they got the bomb plant the first round, although they did expend a decent amount of cash following suit after they lost the second round of that. So they are still on the back foot. Pistols now, no armor. A bomb plant is all they're going to really be hoping for, but there are still a lot of SMGs, a lot of money to be made for the Space Soldier side. Not bad. Moe gets a little bit of space to dial down a shot of .50 to Xantares' face, but now these are unarmored targets. SMGs still could do a lot of work, but really it's just Calyx that picks up a quick three-piece in mid and continues forward, seeing nothing other than the bomb, which will soon be on the ramp side of top mid. Moe's one man left, searching for some information, listening as best as he can to echolocate, but he's in top A ramp right now, and there's not much for him to do here.
Nice. Last kill finally comes in. Now this will be the buy coming in for Greyhound in the round that follows, but Space Soldier's really looking good, and Calyx with a strong shutdown there. I'm waiting for these guys to wake up, and it seems like maybe they finally are, but even still, we've seen little glimpses of the players from the Space Soldiers arriving and then quickly being silenced. It's a good spray transfer in mid. I mean, yeah, it's an anti-eco. It's not a huge round, but it's something. But now the buy comes in from Greyhound. It won't include the AWP. It's going to be AKs across the board. And it's double AWP setup right now for Space Soldiers, which maybe they wanted that in the first half and they just couldn't get it. Major on one side, Engine on the other, bookending the round, and Ump in the middle. It's very symmetrical right now. As Major goes into apartments with that deep Molotov, trying to spot someone on the other side of the smoke. Urcast is just out of view. First shot off the mark. But it's the T side getting the first kill. Moe CQ picks off Xantares. It's a big kill.
Ooh, Major only backs up as far as he has to, but he misses and he gets another kill as a reward for his faulty jump. He picks up 2, costs him 80 hit points, but far and beyond worth it, as Burn also took a lot of damage on the entry there. As Paz opens up on Burn rounding the corner, a little bit of a miss here and there for Moe as he turns and tries to transfer over to Calyx, who takes the frag. Now a 3-on-1 advantage to Space Soldiers. Gratisfaction, last man standing with bomb in hand, searching for that last player, Major, but he survives yet again and picks up another frag. Double op setup, not so bad, and I don't even know if Greyhound Gaming even spotted the second op. They just ran straight headlong into Major here.
Yeah, it's a real shame they didn't get this kill. Major actually struggles to get out the window, still gets a kill, and not only that, he survives. And I thought in that last duel, maybe Gratisfaction would kill him and take away that second op threat, but you can see based on Major's money, he probably would have been able to buy it anyway. It just would have been like an op body armor or something like that with the money that he spent coming into this round. So it's now 11-9. Space Soldiers is down only 2, despite that dominant first half and the early showing from Greyhound that had them up, 7-0 at one point. Space Soldiers is now only down 2 rounds, and it's another softball round. It's just lobbed up, and it's easy for them to knock it out of the park. It's just pistols. Only one player has armor here. It's Urcast, and it's down to already just 3. It's Urcast, Moe CQ, and Gratisfaction, and the damage dealt so far has been limited. Urcast, though, popping Xantares' head off in mid-window. Right now, they're in the head of Xantares. They're keeping him frustrated because it seems like he's got limited impact in this game. In fact, I'm sure if we pull up the scoreboard, we'd see that Xantares' totals are a lot lower than people would expect. 19 and 15.
19,
you know what? That is lower than people expect.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'd expect 30 kills. I mean, it's just Xantares is what he does.
And Calyx is performing that well. He's actually ahead of the curve and soaking up quite a bit of that carry potential for the team. He's picking up some more kills. Again, just anti-eco rounds. But Aircast picks up another frag. That's 2 headshots for him. He picked up that additional player, that being Xantares, so he knocked both players off. And we're seeing more kills come in. This is going to have more of an impact than we anticipated. It's a 2-on-2 situation now. Major's got the deagle and silences Gratisfaction. It'll be all up to Moe with his own deagle to try and go up against this double op. 30-some seconds. He doesn't have the bomb, but he's got time to play with.
He had a chance there against that player that was triple stack too. Engine was in sight, right behind it, wasn't looking, he was completely blind to it. If he can go back and grab the bomb, he has a 1v1 on either side. It's all about which direction he wants to move in, and it's an op. So it's all about baiting out that first shot and catching them off guard. Let's see what he decides to do. It looks like he's going to be moving over towards A. I'm not sure if Major can hear him moving in, but there's the Molotov down. He's going to try and plant on the safe side of the triple stack. Should be able to get at least the bomb plant, but as soon as he pulls off it, they're going to be right there, closing the distance. Fastest Engine. It's an easy kill with the CZ-75. Moe only gets a few bullets off the M4 before we see Space Soldiers gobble up their 10th round. This is quite a little bit of a comeback. I mean, they were down 7-0 at one point. So to be down just 1 round, it's fantastic work. And this is what I said I was worried about with Greyhound, because they would switch over to the T side, and all of a sudden Space Soldiers would wake up on the favored side, and things would just kind of spiral out of control.
Yeah, there's an impressive play that last round anyway. It was just an eco round, but Aircast getting 2 headshots there with his CZ, and then Moe coming in, getting a kill, and also putting the bomb plant down to get that extra bit of income. So you see Gratisfaction not only has the op, but he has a full set of utility as well. So Greyhound can really take their time here. I think they just need to mentally reset, possibly take a page out of Space Soldier's book and go with a timeout, especially if they drop this round. I think they're going to be ending into the max loss bonus soon enough.
They're at it. They just got it. Yeah.
So they're going to have rifles soon enough. But if they do drop this round, I think they needed to back up and think about these things in a different manner.
Because of the money and the full loss bonus, Greyhound is able to afford the op, and that op is what gets them that first kill. Urkest dives into sight, and Engine is there. They didn't spot Paz. The kill's piling up for both sides. Xantares is going to pick up 2. Looking to find the third. It's Gratisfaction now back by bench. Good damage being dealt by both players. But eventually it's Gratisfaction to whip out the Glock of all things.
The Glock.
And it's Calyx now versus Gratisfaction. The position's been spotted, but it's a huge play from Gratisfaction. The 1v2 goes their way. Space Soldiers is probably a little bit frustrated. And that's economically tough for Space Soldiers because now they're eating away at the little bit of money they've been able to store.
Gratisfaction, beautiful clutch. And yeah, I think that first shot passes through the bench wall, does considerable damage, like he said, softens up the target just enough to get the job done with a Glock. And Greyhound Gaming, right, have still a little bit of work to do, but they still have everybody in the most comfortable weapon. Gratisfaction still has his op. Everybody's got the AKs. This is going to be a huge round, one way or another. Either Space Soldiers pick this one up, draw it even there soon thereafter, and we go into the 25th round after that, or Greyhound Gaming can again try and stiff-arm the competition, economically speaking, like they did in the first half, and just pour on round after round. Space Soldiers would be on the back foot from there on out, it seems, but Xantares in a very aggressive position, sees the shadow, spots, misses the shot, and Burn takes him. Now a 5-on-3 as well. Paz falls in that attempt of taking mid control. Now they just smell blood in the water. They pour into the A site. They jump straight off Palace, and they steal it away from Space Soldiers.
Major needs to save. It's a 1v4. There's no way he's going to do anything here, so he just needs to hold on to this gun if he's lucky to hold on to it. So, you know, we were ready to start, you know, doing a eulogy for Greyhound Gaming. Unfortunately, they burned too bright too early. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, as Greyhound has come alive yet again, and now they've got Space Soldiers on the brink of no money. I mean, you look at the cash right now, it's not going to be pretty in the next round for Space Soldiers. Major really needs to keep this gun to give them a fighting chance, and he's going to lose it. That's a great round from Greyhound. They just stormed into A and completely obliterate everything.
Well, that was after the fact that they took 2 of the most important players off of the side of Space Soldiers in mid. So their pincer that they were setting up for on A anyways was just made that much easier by that fact. So they take off mid control. They're like, oh, okay, we're completely free up through connector, barring one player that might be in addition on Catwalk. Keep an eye out on that, but it was an open A site. They just cleaned house. Greyhound Gaming now in full control. Space Soldiers, like I said, gonna have to play this catch-up game from here on out. Major buys the op. You've got backup by a Famas as well as 3 umps in there, but look at the lack of utility. Their retake situation is almost bar none. They have to stop them right at the front door.
Yeah, and they've got 4 players playing A, which is the best case scenario right now for Space Soldiers. This could be a big round for them to try and get themselves back into the game. I mean, Major with that glass cannon, he's really banking on this one working out. Look at this play. The head boost Molotov, and everyone's just getting burnt out of position. Calyx is stuck underneath. He tries to peek. It's actually Xantares to get the kill. Calyx is still alive. How do they shut that one down? It seemed like it was working out well. It was a solid take, but ultimately it was just the duels that went their way. And we were looking at it early on just based on the minimap. It was a good counterplay coming in from the CT side. 4 players playing on A. Unfortunately, I don't think Greyhound Gaming expected them to have kind of firepower they did. I didn't think they were going to be able to afford an AWP or any kind of rifle. I thought it would be at best SMGs.
Right. Well, they buy up, and now they're rewarded. They go back to that double op setup that they saw success with. Major taking his op over to the B side, and then Engine as well back to the A side. Like you said, they're just bracketing the map right now, making sure that that presence is everywhere. Paz even pushing up to the top end of mid, spotting Gratisfaction, but losing it again. We saw that 2 rounds ago. Both Paz and Xantares played in mid. They both died, and it opened up to the A side and gave Greyhound Gaming the round. Now they try it again, they lose it, but there is a trade elsewhere, that being onto A main. Prackham going now to the wayside as Greyhound Gaming back up, and they're going to resettle themselves. They still have mid control. There's no reason to try and over-pursue.
Gratisfaction top mid. They do have full mid control at this point. 3 players grouping up in that area. 1 bottom mid, or towards bottom connector for that matter. Engine is holding though. from Ticket Booth. Doesn't see the player. Catwalk still whips the crosshair up, somehow hits Gratisfaction in the leg, and due to the damage dealt, it was an easier kill than it should have been. Could have survived, scratched up, but instead he's dead. It's Burn and Urcast now versus 4 members of Space Soldiers, and now it's just 1 man standing here for Greyhound. Again, it looks like Space Soldiers is going to close it to within 1 round between these 2 teams. The difference now is that Greyhound's going to have to save after this. So Greyhound's money is not going to be in a great spot. We're going to have a 13-12, a tie score coming our way if Space Soldiers can close out this somewhat easy round. Yeah, there you go.
Right. So I think it was 3 rounds ago at this point. This was the same exact situation where Greyhound Gaming were put into a spot where, okay, if we lose this round, we're going to end up with some bad economy. That's what has now come, but it's now later in the game. Nice flick up north, tagging Gratisfaction below the belt, and you now have a 1-round differential, which is likely going to close down to 13 all right now.
It's just going to be a save here. Just pistols, no armor. They're looking for a bomb plant. They're just going to run out and try and get that bomb down if possible. We'll see if they're going to be successful. 3 players cascading out, water falling from apartments. First one's dead, second one's dead, third one's dead as well. Calyx shutting it down. The bomb has made it all the way up to triple, but they're not going to let him go for it. It's 4 kills for Calyx on the round. Great way to stat pad, as it's now a tie score here. The money is good enough for Greyhound to consider a glass cannon, but instead they're just going to go with AKs across the board unless Gratisfaction's deciding. I think he's making his mind up. Yeah, there it is.
Glass
cannon.
Yeah, so Calyx picking up these kills. I think this is another 4-piece for him. So I'm certain with Xantares' in the past 3 or 4 rounds, his early deaths, I'm sure Calyx now is taking the lead as the top fragger for the team. But Xantares, he wants this. He takes top mid, he just runs up, now he turns and goes back up to connector. But there is going to be Greyhound Gaming just pushing up towards the B apartments, now coming down through the connector. They have 1 presence up towards the palace right now, but this is more or less a pretty default situation for the T side. They're just peeking for any information. A lot of these early duels that we've seen so far have gone the way of Greyhound. This is going to be a difficult one to try and uproot, though, especially with Xantares now knowing that there is a player there, that being Burns' barrel, that it's spotted. But Xantares exposes himself a little bit further. He's going to be on this little off angle right now, but this is really a one and done. He even pushes forward. A flash comes in, beautifully played. He's going for the next one as well, and he'll get it. Well met. That flash coming off the catwalk and bouncing off the wall, catching them both with their pants down.
And that's the team play we've been waiting to see from Space Soldiers. I feel like we haven't gotten a whole lot of that yet. That's a good sampling, though, of a team that has the amount of experience they have together. You know, relatively stable roster. Now, Major throws the flash as there was a man peeking out from balcony, but MoeCQ, Pracum, and Gratisfaction at the disadvantage. It's a 3-on-5. They're trying to move that bomb into B, and I think the only player here is on Cat. Doesn't matter. Engine's going to hit the shot. That's Gratisfaction going down, and now it's just a 2-on-5, and now just 1 man alive. This is a complete and utter lack of success. No damage dealt, no amount of control. The bomb is all the way across the map. Pracum has to save.
Yeah, and they know exactly where Pracum's at, too. The bomb was dropped towards B, and every player from Space Soldiers started to over-pursue. Now they're going to reset. They're just going to bracket him in. They've got him absolutely trapped. They have the opportunity to clock him as well, because there's plenty of money on the Space Soldiers side. Some of these rounds have been going back and forth, but the rounds that Space Soldiers have won have been fairly healthy as of recent. So I think they are exactly going to do that. They're going to try and clock him. Paz is just straight at him, holding down W. They round the corner. Can they get to him in time? He'll take 1. I couldn't quite see if he died in the end, however. So this is, that could be having some pretty big implications in the following rounds, because we're getting late in the second half. And if he got clocked there at the end, it's disaster.
I mean,
he survived.
Yeah, this is that frustration right now for Greyhound Gaming, because they're going through this sort of scenario that we've seen play out multiple times at the Global Challenge Finals. Australian teams come out big, strong start. They start to taper off, and ultimately a map that you feel like they should have won goes the other direction. This is really giving me flashbacks to the first time we had an Australian team at a Global Challenge event, which was Season 22. And that was when Chiefs came out on Nuke, and I thought they were going to beat Echo Fox. It was such a strong showing, but ultimately, when they switched sides, that's when Echo Fox came alive. And the same thing happens here for Space Soldiers. They switch over to the CT side. Everyone wakes up, and now all the smiles and the happy vibe we had from Greyhound, that's been replaced by a somber approach. They look very disappointed with the way that things have happened. They're now down 1 round, and I'm not sure what their money looks like at this point, but you got to be frustrated if you're Greyhound.
No, I don't I don't put it past them. I mean, Greyhound have played a great game. To go up against Space Soldiers so far, and we're not counting them out by any means, but we're going to get into this round anyway. Still Space Soldiers loving that double op setup. Paz is going to get pressure, though, straight out of the window they come. Paz takes the first, and it's the bomb that's down. He'll take another and more damage. Aircat was limping along, and Xantares will finish the job, and he transfers over after spraying down the boxes, and that's a very fast round. Space Soldiers find 15 immediately. Greyhound invested into that round as well, so now they're left down to about 3,500 bucks on average for each player. It's a disaster. Space Soldiers have a little bit of room to play with as well, so if they drop this round, it'll of course go into the end of regulation 30th round. That timeout that we saw from Greyhound just prior to this was not as successful as Space Soldiers' timeout in the first half.
No, not at all. That was a full board B push. They were hoping that just by sheer numbers stacking up together, they could catch them off guard with just a full-on rush. That flashbang didn't really do as much damage as they'd hoped with the position that was played out from the lead man on B. Engine's going to get a shot in on mid. That's an early 5-on-4, make it a 5-on-3. As both ops really chiming in. It's down to just Moe, CQ, and Prackham. Again, we talked about it. In that first half, they couldn't afford the op, and it's obvious that that's been their key to success. Space Soldiers close things out 16-13. So despite the strong start from Greyhound, ultimately, once Space Soldiers got their money in order and moved over to the CT side and they were able to afford those ops, everything spiraled out of control for Greyhound.
It did, and we even saw a little bit of pepper in there at the beginning in the first half as well, as we saw a knife coming in. I think it was just early on within the first 5 rounds to just expand on that economic dominance that we saw in the first half.